Imagine a franchise trapped in a quarterback nightmare for a decade. From 2013 to 2023, the Washington Commanders were a team in turmoil, cycling through quarterbacks like a revolving door. Inconsistencies, injuries, and disappointment plagued the position year after year. But just when hope seems lost, a savior emerged from the 2024 NFL Draft. Enter Jayden Daniels, the electrifying quarterback who has become the turning point in the Commanders' fortunes. Through the first month of his rookie season, he has shown flashes of brilliance, completing 77% of his passes for 1,100 yards and 4 touchdowns. His dual threat ability also added another dimension to the offense, also rushing for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. But Jayden isn't the only catalyst for change. The arrival of new head coach Quinn and offensive coordinator Kingsbury has breathed fresh life into the franchise. Together, Kliff and Daniels have formed a dynamic partnership, ushering in a new era of excitement and potential for the long-suffering Commanders faithful. For a decade of despair to a future full of promise, this is the story of how one draft pick and one coaching hire changed everything for the Washington Commanders. The Commanders quarterback saga from 2014 to 2017 was a roller coaster of hope, disappointment, and controversy. It all began with the rise and quick fall of RG3. In 2012, RG3 burst onto the scene, electrifying the NFL with his dynamic play and winning Rookie of the Year honors. But by 2014, the third year of Jay Gruden's time as head coach, Griffin's career was already in a tailspin. Injuries had robbed him of his explosiveness, and his relationship with Gruden was deteriorating rapidly. Gruden, known for his innovative offensive mind, found himself caught between the fading star in RG3 and the rising talent in Kirk Cousins. The tension in the locker room was obvious, with RG3 supporters in the locker room and front office clashing with Gruden's desire to move in a new direction. The relationship between Jay and Robert was everything other than what a coach and quarterback relationship should be. Gruden, known for his offensive smarts, had a clear vision for how he wanted his quarterback to play, but RG3, still clinging on to that dual threat identity that made him a star, resisted from changes. They immediately started to bump heads, and it was intense. Behind closed doors, frustrations rised. Gruden felt that Griffin was unwilling or unable to make the necessary adjustments to his game. RG3, on the other hand, believed that the coaching staff never tailored the offense to his strengths. This fundamental disagreement created a rift that will only widen over time. The tension spilled onto the practice field and into the team meetings. Jay's criticism of RG3's play became more pointed while RG3's response grew defensive. The locker room began to divide, with some players backing their quarterback and others aligning with the head coach's vision. The situation reached a boiling point in a now famous press conference when RG3 said that great players need those around them to play at a high level.
The fact of the matter is we're not a very good football team right now, and we got a long way to go. Because right now we have no Pro Bowl players. I'm not playing that way. The line's not playing that way. Our receivers aren't playing that way. The backs aren't playing that way. Our defense isn't playing that way.
According to Griffin, Gruden had asked him to call out his teammates publicly, hoping it was going to motivate the team.
Is that the only reason I went to that press conference and said what I said to challenge my teammates through that press conference was because Jay Gruden asked me to do that. He said, I need you to challenge the guys to be better.
But Jay left him out to dry and failed to back his quarterback up. Instead, he reportedly undressed Griffin in front of the media, criticizing his performance and decision-making.
First of all, Robert needs to understand he needs to worry about himself, number one, and not everybody else. It's his job to worry about his position, his footwork, his fundamentals, his reads, his progressions, his job at the quarterback position. His place is to talk about himself, and he knows that.
And he undressed me at that press conference in a way that a coach should never undress his starting quarterback.
This perceived portrayal left deep scars. RG3 felt hung out to dry by his coach, who had set him up to fail.
What hurt me about that was the fact that after I did that in the press conference, not only did Jay Gruden not have my back, but he actually burned me with it.
That 2014 season saw 3 different quarterbacks, RG3, Kirk Cousins, and Colt McCoy. Griffin had 6 starts and only 1 win. Cousins had 6 starts and 2 wins, and Colt McCoy had 3 starts and 1 win in overtime. All in all, that season, they went 4-12.
RG3 is a bust.
RG3 time in Washington was up as he was benched for the entire 2015 season, apparently to protect the team from triggering his injury guarantee. But that move effectively ended his career in Washington.
We have announced that Kirk Cousins will be the starter for 2015 moving forward.
Gruden turned to Kirk Cousins, hoping for a new shift in the team's direction. In 2015, Cousins took over as the full-time starter, where he went viral for his famous three-word statement after leading a comeback victory against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 7. Can you guess what it is?
You like that? You like that?
You like that? You like that?
That moment seemed to birth a new era in Washington football. In his first year as a full-time starter, they made it to the wildcard game of the playoffs with the 8-7 record, but lost to Green Bay. Cousins showed flashes of brilliance, setting franchise records and earning a Pro Bowl selection in 2016. However, there were some inconsistencies. The team struggled to string together winning seasons, and doubts lingered about Cousins' ability to be a true franchise quarterback. Meanwhile, Gruden's offensive system, while productive, failed to elevate the team to true contender status. Jay's relationship with Cousins was better than Griffin's, but it had its share of tension and miscommunication. By 2017, the final year of this era, Washington found itself at a crossroads. Cousins was playing under his second consecutive franchise tag, a clear sign that the organization's uncertainty to fully commit to him. The team finished with a disappointing 7-9 record, missing the playoffs for the second straight year. As the 2017 season came to an end, it was clear that the Griffin-Cousins era had failed to deliver on its early promise. The Commanders were left with more questions than answers at the quarterback position, setting the stage for years of further instability to come. The 2018 season began with a sense of renewed hope for the Washington Commanders. After years of quarterback instability, the team had traded for Alex Smith, a proven veteran with a track record of success. Smith's arrival was meant to bring stability and leadership to the franchise, desperately in need of both. Jay Gruden, now in his 5th year as head coach, seemed to have finally found the quarterback he could build his offense around. Smith's intelligence and efficiency were a perfect fit for Gruden's system, and early results were promising. The team started the season 6-3, their best start since 2008, and fans hoped for a return to the playoffs. But on November 18th, 2018, everything changed in an instant. Week 10, in a game against the Houston Texans, Smith dropped back for a pass and was sacked by Kareem Jackson and J.J. Watt. As Alex Smith went down, his right leg bent at a sickening angle. The stadium filled with silence as players from both teams immediately signaled for medical assistance. The diagnosis was devastating: a compound fracture in Smith's right leg. What followed was a nightmare scenario that no one could have predicted. Smith had developed a life-threatening infection in his leg, requiring 17 surgeries to save not only just his career, but his life.
Cultures are positive, meaning he has bacteria in his blood.
Bacteria in your blood causes issues like blood pressure issues and heart rate issues. You become septic. Uncontrolled, you could die.
At one point, doctors were considering amputating his leg above the knee. The impact on the team was immediate and severe. Without Smith, the Commander season unraveled with Colt McCoy, Mark Sanchez, and Josh Jackson, all starting games in Smith's absence. They lost 6 of their last 7 games, finishing 7-9, and missed the playoffs. For Gruden, the loss of Smith was a crushing blow. He had stacked his reputation on building an offense around the veteran quarterback, and now he was left scrambling for solutions. The pressure mounted as the losses piled up, and the questions about Gruden's ability to develop and manage quarterbacks resurfaced. The falloff from Smith's injury extended far beyond the 2018 season. The team was left without a clear plan at the most important position in football, and the financial implications on Smith's contract loomed large. Gruden, already on thin ice, found himself fighting for his job as the team struggled to find its footing. As the 2018 season came to a close, the team was once again back in uncertainty. The promise of stability that Alex Smith had brought had been shattered, leaving the franchise to face yet another offseason of questions and doubts about their future at the quarterback position. In the wake of Alex Smith's devastating injury, the Commanders turned to Case Keenum in 2019, a journeyman quarterback known for his toughness and leadership. Keenum was brought in as a stopgap measure, a band-aid for a wound that seemed to grow deeper with each passing year. While he showed flashes of competence, completing 64% of his passes for 1,700 yards and 11 touchdowns in 10 games, Keenum's limited upside couldn't elevate a struggling team. They was never able to just put a complete game together. And as the losses mounted, the pressure on head coach Jay Gruden intensified. Now in his 6th season, he has stacked his reputation on developing quarterbacks, but the carousel showed no signs of slowing. The team stumbled out of the gate, losing their first 5 games in an embarrassing fashion. On October 7, 2019, the axe finally fell.
First, we want to get to breaking news from Washington, D.C. ESPN reports the Redskins fired head coach Jay Gruden,
firing him after the team's 0-5 start to the season.
And I think this is perhaps a step in the right direction.
Gruden was fired, ending the longest coach's tenure of the Dan Snyder era. His final record of 35-49-1 told a story of a coach who could never quite overcome the franchise's systematic issues, mainly at the quarterback position. Offensive line coach Bill Callahan stepped in as the head coach. Tasked with salvaging what he could from a sinking ship, but even Callahan, a respected veteran coach, couldn't stabilize the quarterback situation. Meanwhile, the franchise pinned its long-term hopes on Dwayne Haskins, their first-round pick out of Ohio State. Haskins was looked at as the future of the franchise, a strong-armed quarterback with the potential to finally bring stability to the position. However, the reality proved far different for the team. From the outset, Haskins struggled. His difficulties weren't limited to on-field performances. Reports of poor preparation and lack of professionalism began to surface. The young quarterback seemed overwhelmed by the demand of the NFL, and his play reflected it. Bill Callahan went back and forth between Keenum and Haskins, searching for a spark that might ignite the offense. Haskins was given opportunities to start, but was benched multiple times due to poor performances. As the season wore on, it became clear that neither Keenum or Haskins was the answer. The Commanders limped to just a 3-13 finish, their worst record since 2013. The promise of a fresh start with the new quarterback had once again turned to ashes. The 2019 season stood as a testament to the Commanders' ongoing struggle to find stability. It was a year that had saw the end of one coaching era and foreshadowed the challenges that lay ahead for a franchise still searching for its identity. The 2020 to 2023 era of Washington Commanders was a period marked by hope, disappointment, and a revolving door at the quarterback position. Head coach Ron Rivera, brought in to stabilize the franchise, found himself navigating a series of short-term solutions that never quite panned out. The Haskins experiment would come to an end after week 4 as he was benched, then ended up being released before the season's conclusion. His struggles on field were compounded by off-field struggles, including a violation of C-19 protocols when he was caught at a strip club with no mask on, especially at a time the NFL was real strict with what was going on at the time, which further strained his relationship with the team. By week 5, Cal Allen's number was called, a familiar face from Rivera's time in Carolina. Allen showed flashes of competence but couldn't stay healthy, suffering a season-ending ankle injury just 2 weeks later. Alex Smith was cleared by his doctors to resume football activities over the summer in 2020, and he would then get a second chance at football again during week 8. He would lead the football team at the time to a 4-2 record through 6 weeks before he was pulled out of the game against the San Francisco 49ers due to a bone bruise in his right leg, reported at the time as a calf soreness, and missed the rest of the game and the next 2. This opened the door for an unlikely hero, Taylor Heinicke. Taylor's story is something out of Hollywood scripts. A undrafted free agent out of Old Dominion had been out of football and taking online classes when Washington called.
I was taking classes online at ODU, and I was getting ready for finals, and I get the call to come up here.
In a wildcard game against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Heinicke put on a gusty performance and captured the hearts of fans, throwing for 306, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. This unexpected showing earned Heinicke a 2-year contract and a chance to compete for the starting job. Throughout 2021 and part of 2022, he became a fan favorite, known for his scrappy plays and underdog mentality. His teammates in the locker room praised him for his ability to extend plays and toughness attitude. However, his limitations became apparent over time. His lack of arm strength and inconsistent accuracy prevented him from fully seizing the starting role. While he could provide sparks of excitement, he couldn't deliver the consistent high-level play needed from him to be a franchise quarterback. Despite a long-term solution, Washington made a bold move in 22, trading for Carson Wentz. The former Eagle star was supposed to be the answer, bringing a strong arm and playoff experience to the team. But Carson's tenure in Washington was troubled from the start. Inconsistent play, injuries, and rumors of locker room problems plagued his time with the Commanders. He was benched multiple times in favor of Heinicke, creating a quarterback controversy that distinguished stabilized the offense. Throughout this period, head coach Ron Rivera struggled to find the right formula. As the 2023 season approached, the Commanders turned to yet another option, Sam Howell, the 5th round pick from the previous season. Sam, who has shown flashes of potential in limited action, was given the keys to the offense in what many saw as a make or break year for Ron Rivera's tenure. Throughout this period, Ron's inability to find or develop a franchise quarterback became increasingly apparent. While he built a formidable defense, the offense under coordinator Scott Turner lacked creativity and failed to maximize the talents of the rotating cast of signal callers. The constant shuffling at quarterback took a toll on the team's performance and morale. Players spoke on the challenges of adapting to new leadership in the huddle, seemingly every few weeks. The lack of continuity made it difficult for receivers to build chemistry with their quarterbacks and for the offensive line to adjust to different playing styles. As each new quarterback took the huddle, hope would briefly surge among the fan base, only to be left upset as familiar problems resurfaced. The Commanders found themselves stuck in a cycle of mediocrity, unable to break through to true contender status without stability at the most important position on the field. By the end of the 2023 season, it was clear that the Washington quarterback woes were far from over. The franchise had struggled through Allen, Heineke, Wentz, and Howell, each bringing their own unique skills and limitations, but none able to fully grasp the mantle of franchise quarterback. As another offseason approached, the search for a long-time solution at quarterback continued, leaving fans to wonder if their team would ever find the stability that they desperately craved. Jayden Daniels' journey to the NFL is a story of resilience, transformation, and ultimately triumph. Out of high school, he was a 4-star recruit by his senior season and had offers from Arizona State, Utah, UCLA, California, and Alabama. His college career began at Arizona State, where he quickly made a name for himself as a dynamic dual-threat quarterback. As a freshman at 19, Jayden set school records, throwing for 2,900 yards, 17 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions, while also adding 355 rushing yards and 3 scores on the ground. However, the next 2 seasons saw Daniels struggle to recapture that early magic. With that weird 2020 season, they only had played 5 games, but in 2021, his production dipped and turnovers increased.
Just a 3-man rush, pass too high and picked up!
Pressure comes, Daniels gets rid of it, threw it too high, and it's intercepted.
Seeking a fresh start and a chance to compete at the highest level, Daniels transferred. However, his time at ASU would end in controversy. After 3 seasons, tensions within the program reached a boiling point. His ASU teammates were seen clearing out his locker, with some reportedly calling him trash.
Clear this shit out. He out of this fuck anyways.
And without stepping down to their level of maturity, this is how Jayden responded.
They basically said I suck.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I got a question. What do you have to say to them now?
I don't even got nothing to say.
Yeah.
Hey, everything happened for a reason.
This public fallout marked the end of his ASU career and set the stage for a crucial decision. In March 2022, he transferred to LSU, seeking a fresh start and a chance to prove his doubters wrong. The move to Baton Rouge will prove transformative. Under the bright lights of Tiger Stadium, Daniels' talents flourished. His mobility, pinpoint accuracy, and leadership skills became the cornerstone of the LSU offense. At LSU, Jayden's talent exploded onto the national stage. He led the Tigers to signature victories, including a thrilling upset over Alabama in 2022. But it was his senior season in 23 that cemented his legacy. He led the FBS in total yards and set the single season passer rating record, a season performance that ultimately won him the Heisman Trophy.
The 2023 Heisman Trophy winner is Jayden Daniels from Louisiana.
Jayden's dual threat capabilities were on full display as he passed for 3,800 yards and 40 touchdowns, while rushing for an additional 1,100 yards and 10 scores. Despite his collegiate success, some NFL scouts remained skeptical. Questions about his size and durability lingered. Standing at 6'4", 210 pounds, he was considered slightly undersized for the prototypical NFL quarterback. However, his supporters pointed to his remarkable efficiency and ability to make plays both inside and outside the pocket. As the 2024 draft approached, Daniels' stock continued to rise. His combination of arm talent, football IQ, and athleticism drew comparison to some of the league's most exciting young quarterbacks. Teams in need of a franchise signal caller began to see Daniels not just as a college star, but as a potential cornerstone for their organization. The 2024 NFL Draft was a pivotal moment for the Commanders, a franchise that had failed at the quarterback position for over a decade. As the draft approached, The tension in the Commanders' war room was obvious. The team held a second overall pick, and the decision that they were about to make would shape the franchise future for years to come. At the helm was the Commanders' new head coach, Dan Quinn, and an offense innovator known for his ability to maximize quarterback talent, Kliff Kingsbury. He had been brought in with one clear mission: find and develop a franchise quarterback. As the first pick was announced, Dan Quinn looked over at general manager Adam Peters, and they both knew what needed to be done.
It's Jayden. Adam Peters from the Commanders. How you doing, man? I've just been so impressed with what you've done to get yourself to where you're at right now, man.
Congrats, man. How awesome is this?
Turn it in. Let's go.
The Washington Commanders select Jayden Daniels, quarterback, LSU.
The room erupted in cheers and applause. It was a bold move, one that signaled a dynamic shift from Washington's historic conservative approach to the quarterback position. Jayden, with his dynamic playmaking ability and dual threat skills, presented a new era for the Commanders. The Commanders had spent months evaluating every aspect of Jayden's game. They were mainly impressed by his performance in LSU's opener against Florida State, where Jayden showcased his polished arm talent and resilience in the face of adversity.
I think the Florida game spoke to your resilience, and that's why you're coming here, man. You're a dog competitor. We're going to kick a lot of together.
As Jayden put on that Commander's hat and held up that jersey on draft night, the excitement was tempered with the weight of expectations.
Hey, you the number 2 pick in the draft. You go to a team like Washington, you know, you're going to have your bumps, trust me. It ain't gonna be smooth. It ain't LSU. You know, you're gonna have to figure it all out.
The franchise had pinned its hopes on quarterbacks before, only to be left disappointed, but this time felt different. There was a sense that in Daniels, they had found not just a talented player, but a leader who could change the culture of the entire organization. Dan Quinn, known for his innovative offensive schemes, was already envisioning ways to build an offense around Daniels' unique skill set. Gone were the days of trying to fit square pegs into round holes. This offense would be tailored to maximize Daniels' strengths, featuring design runs, read options, and a dynamic passing attack that would keep defenses guessing. As the 2024 NFL season kicked off, all eyes were on Jayden Daniels. In week 1, he made history as the first NFL quarterback to rush for over 80 yards and 2 touchdowns in his debut. But it was week 3 that truly announced his arrival as a potential star. In a primetime showdown against the Bengals, he delivered a near-flawless performance, completing 21 of 23 passes for 254 and 2 touchdowns, setting both NFL rookie and Commanders franchise records. His poise in the pocket and ability to make plays under pressure led Washington to a thrilling 38-33 victory. By the end of his first month as a rookie, he cemented his status as a rising star. He was named Offensive Rookie of the Month after completing an NFL record 82.1% of his passes over a 4-game span. But most impressively, the Commanders had more scoring drives, 23, than Daniels had incompletions, 19, during this stretch. His electrifying playing style and humble demeanor off the field quickly grabbed the hearts of fans, and his jersey sales skyrocketed.
According to the website Fanatics, more of Jayden Daniels' jerseys have flown off the shelves in the last week than any other player in the NFL. How about that?
I've been a fan since day one. We've been hurt for so long. We haven't had this excitement since RG3.
And the buzz around the young quarterback grew with each passing week. The Commanders, long searching for a franchise quarterback, seemed to have finally found their guy. In a hard-fought game against the previous MVP Lamar Jackson, the guy that he continuously gets compared to,
Jayden Daniels is Lamar Jackson 2.0.
Jayden and the Commanders' offense showed poise. Even though they came up short by a touchdown, Daniels continued his streak on putting together a good game, with 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 68% completion percentage. But Daniels had a message for the people with these comparisons.
I'm not closed-minded. You know, I always want to be able to grow, but you know, at the end of the day, I want to be known as Jayden Daniels and not the next such and such.
Through the first 6 weeks of play, Jayden has 1,400 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, with another 322 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. The start to this season has transformed the mood around the franchise. After years of quarterback struggles, the Commanders finally seem to have found their long-term solution. Jayden Daniels wasn't just playing well, he has put hope back into the fan base and is changing the trajectory of the entire organization. His impact extended far beyond the stat sheet, reaching into the fabrics of the team's culture. In the locker room, Daniels' leadership was a breath of fresh air. Veterans who have seen a parade of quarterbacks come and go were struck by the rookie's poise and preparation.
Not only that, he has the God-given ability, but he has the work ethic that I think is what's going to take to sustain a great career in the NFL. And then on top of that, I think what people don't really account for is the personality.
His calm demeanor, even in the face of adversity, began to rub off on his teammates. After a tough loss early in the season, it was Daniels who stood up in a locker room taking responsibility in rallying the team. "We're close," he told them. "Trust the process, trust each other. We're going to turn this around." In which they did, because they went on a 4-game winning streak and is currently sitting at a 4-2 record, their best start to a season since 2016. In team meetings, on the practice field, and on game day, a new culture is starting to arise in Washington.
Clip from one of the guys on the team, and I can't remember who it is, talking about having a great culture, that he's been there and they never had a culture.
A culture of belief, resilience, and unity. And at the center of it all is a young quarterback who had not only lived up to the hype, but is exceeding it, changing the trajectory of a franchise that has been suffering for far too long.